So from yesterday, you all have been listening to Viveka Chudamani. So you all are already in the zone, to say so. Vedanta Shravana is not just a time pass or you listen to it for some time and okay, oh, it was very nice. He spoke a great deal. He spoke very well. You comment the speaker and then you leave. That is not how Vedanta Shravana works. Listening to Bhagavad Guna or something, even if you listen for a small amount of time, it gives you a great deal of energy. It gives you a great deal of sadhana, punya to do. Vedanta Shravana, though being the same, requires an effort from our own part. Shravana is step one. For an Uttama Adhikari, that Shravana itself is enough to grant him mukti. Listening from the Guru's words about the Vedanta Tattva, that is enough. Because the goal of Vedanta is not something new. It is not something where you have to go somewhere, do something, attain something. In worldly matters, that is the case. Based upon each one's skill. And each one might be skilled in different things. Based upon that, a person might be good in something, he might not be so good in some other thing. And they attain to their own end goals. In the same company, though everybody starts as a fresher, each one attains different positions, they attain different ends, they attain different goals based upon their own capabilities. All students in a class, they sit together, they listen from the same teacher, they listen to the same thing being taught in the same manner. Still they all they understand the same thing differently. Somebody understands it correctly, somebody understands it wrongly, somebody doesn't understand at all. So all these varieties exist. The uniqueness of Vedanta is that we are talking about something that we already have. So that is why we call it as praptasya praptihi. You are attaining something which you already have. And then nivrittasya nivrittihi. You are removing something that is already removed, that is not there at all. This seems like a pointless goal. I already have it, why will I put effort to get it? And I already do not have something, why will I put in some efforts to remove something that I do not have? This is where we come up with the nyaya called the Kantha Chamikara Nyaya. Chamikara means a necklace. Kantha Chamikara is a necklace on the neck. This person is wearing a necklace. And they are searching everywhere for that necklace. They seem to have misplaced it. So they go and ask everyone, and they are probably wearing neck level some shirt or something also. So they are not able to immediately see it, nor is the other person able to immediately see it. So they go about asking everyone at home, then everybody elsewhere, did I drop it here, did I drop it there? I forgot where I kept it. So on, after asking so many people, nobody knows where it is. Then somebody says, why don't you check it on your own neck? Are you wearing it? Then they look down, they see, oh, it is there on my own neck. And they find it right there. Was the necklace ever lost? But when they find it, they say, oh, I found it. That exclamation is there. And there is a satisfaction, there is a ananda that comes saying, oh, I have found the necklace. The necklace was never lost. However invaluable it might have been, it was never lost in the first place. But two things happened at that time. One, you got the happiness, the feeling of satisfaction of having gained the necklace, and the disappointment of having lost the necklace, the sadness, the despair that was there, that also melts away. That also goes away. So these are the two things that we get when we get that Atma Jnana. Why will we get happiness when we get Atma Jnana? We already have it. But when you realize it at that point of time through the Guru Vakya, there is a special realization that dawns. There is that special, we cannot call it feeling, we cannot call it emotion. It is that Ananta, it is that infinite. You have realized the infinite. It is that knowledge that dawns. From the knowledge of this necklace itself, if we can have so much happiness, what would be the knowledge of finding our own self, which seems to have been lost from aeons together? Hanadihi. We do not know when it began. Rather, it is beginningless. From that time, it has been lost altogether. A better example for this is not just the necklace. All those who are wearing spectacles have this great realization. You are wearing the spectacles and then you start searching for them. You search all around the house, you ask everyone, you say, no, I kept it here only, no, that person took it away. All this fight, everything happens. After some time, the child in the house says, you yourself are wearing it on your own eyes. The beauty of this example is that you are searching for that object through that object. You are searching for the spectacles through the spectacles. Probably if you were not wearing those specs, you would have had blurred vision and you would have had a difficult time searching for it. You wouldn't have been able to see far or close, something, one of the two. And it would have been even more difficult. But the thing here is you are able to see very clearly because of those very specs. The Atma Jnana is somewhat very similar. When you say, I am Ajnani, I do not know what moksha is, I am bound in this world, I am bound by all the karma, I am bound by my relatives, I do not have jnana. Even to say you do not have jnana, to say I am an ajnani, you are saying that through jnana. If that deepa, if that lamp of knowledge was not there, you wouldn't have been able to say that. Just as you search through the specs for the specs, we are searching for that Atma Jnana through Atma Jnana, without realizing that Atma Jnana. That is why Gaudapada, he says, there is no Mukta Purusha, there is no Baddha Purusha. All this talk of freedom and bondage and everything is just mere talk. You are forever the same. You cannot change something and make it something else. That truth which always exists as it is, self-effulgent, it cannot be brought into something, you cannot make it up. If you are supposed to make it up, then at some point of time it will get destroyed. It will degrade. So that is the case of this Atma Swarupa. And that is our purpose of Vedanta. And talking about that Vedanta in such a hallowed institution itself will give a certain calm at the level of the mind. For Vedanta Vichara, it is advised that you stay in a place that is conducive for it. Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, says Bhagavad Gita. Vivikta Desha means a very clean place that has not many people are there around, not disturbed. That kind of a place is what is suggested for Vedanta Vichara. This auditorium we are sitting in now, probably this building is more than 100 years old. Though the auditorium is newly renovated within the last decade or so, the institution itself has seen so many great jnanis pass through its portals. The person who established the institution, you would see the bust, the statue of the person just outside. You would be able to see that. V. Krishna Swami Iyer, he had a singular focus that this institution should cater to the development of Samskrita. And for that he put in so much effort, almost a singular effort during those days of the British Raj, early 1900s. And this statue was also quite recent. It was installed by my uncle. So that is probably 15 years old or something. And the amount of Vidwans that these portals have seen, why I am saying is there has been so much Vedanta Vichara that has happened here. Whether it be in this auditorium, whether it be in these classrooms, whether it be in the Kupaswamy Research Institute hall over there. The number of legends that hall and this hall have seen is innumerable. Before this auditorium was inaugurated, there used to be a huge picture here. I don't know if that picture, I think, is shifted elsewhere. Where Krishna Swami Iyer or his son is in conversation with Mahaswami of Kanchi about what should be done, how this institution should be taken forward. It is there behind? Oh, okay, there. I think that is a replica of that picture, not the original picture. The original picture used to be framed and kept here. Now it is there. There is a painting there at the back of the hall. And this has again the blessings of all the Jagadgurus. We see Abhinav Vidya Tirtha Kripa right on top. The hostel is called like that. That the other open auditorium is called Jayendra Swami Kripa. So all the Jagadgurus have come and blessed this place. So sitting in this place to do Vedanta Vichara is a punya by itself. So many students of Vedanta who probably studied here from great Vidwans, starting with my own grandfather. He joined this institute in 1957 as a student. And then he retired in 2003 as a principal. So there have been people who have spent their lifetimes here studying Vedanta. So when this was just a hall, I think the hostel was upstairs and students probably were sitting here and studying Vedanta for their exams or whatever it might be, for Vakyartha and other things. That energy will still be here. Each place is defined by its tapas, by the penance that goes into that place. When we go to a place like Sringeri, why do we feel the presence there? We feel some kind of presence. We feel like we have entered a presence. Adi Shankara, when he came to that place, he felt the same thing. That is because there is immense penance there by Rishi Shringa. So each place is built by tapas, is built by penance. And Swadhyaya is one of the main penance. Swadhyaya. Tadhi tapas, tadhi tapaha. That is tapas, that is tapas. Swadhyaya is tapas. In terms of Vedanta, Vedanta Vichara is Swadhyaya. You have been listening to Viveka Chudamani from yesterday. This itself is one kind of tapas. Sitting here and listening continuously, meditating upon the truths that are being expounded, asking your doubts, getting clarifications, and focusing only on that study, not allowing your mind to unnecessarily wander anywhere. And this kind of a place helps in that kind of a focus. So that is the greatness of being in this kind of a place and doing Vedanta Vichara. It is conducive. And it is good to be like that. And when everyone around is also in the same frame of mind, that also helps. This is what we call as satsanga. Satsanga is the sangha with the sat, the truth. You are having a connection with the truth. You are building a connection with truth. For any kind of study, we require sahapathis. For Vedanta, at the beginning, you require sahapathis. For the starting stage of Shravana, you require people along. As we proceed in Manana and Nididhyasana, it is a singular path. There is no support. You cannot take somebody else's support and proceed on that path. You can take only the Guru's support. Only his feet can lead you. You cannot take shelter in someone else who is sitting next to you, your family member or something. Nothing like that will work in Vedanta. Guru, his Upadesha, and Granthas like this are what will lead us on that path of Satsanga in Vedanta Vichara. I was talking about this place having that kind of a penance. How does that penance sustain in such a kind of a place? So those people who were here, the person who founded the institution, so many other people who were here, they have all passed on. We do not find their bodies anymore. We can see photographs here and there. That is all we see. But still we say that there is something here that they have left behind. And that is what we call as samskara. The impressions that they have left behind. That impressions continue. Those samskaras and vasana continue irrespective of their physical bodies being present. They are no more present. 50 years, 100 years down the lane, this institution will still be here. None of us will be here. And the retreat happening today will leave an impression here. Similarly, with all the past retreats that have happened, all past events that have happened here, and the forthcoming events that will happen here. This kind of impressions is there in a collective way over here. Verse number 99 of Viveka Chudamani talks about it being in the individual self. The numbers might differ. It might be 97, 99, Viveka Chudamani. There are a lot of Patha Bhedas. It's around slightly before 100 is what it should be in the text that you have. Probably 99. Idam shariram shrunu sukshma samnitam lingam tvapanchikrita sambhavam savasanam karma phalanubhavakam sva ajnanato anadirupadhiratmanaha. That is the verse. Hope you all have it. Idam shariram shrunu sukshma samnitam. That is the beginning of the verse. Bhagavan Bhashyakara Adi Shankara has been detailing Viveka Chudamani. You might have heard an introduction yesterday from many people. It's a huge Grantha. Adi Shankara has various ways of telling us the truth. Based upon the capability of the student, he will tell it in one shloka. He will call it Eka Shloki. He will tell it in 5 verses. Could be Manisha Panchakam or Yati Panchakam. He will tell it in 10 verses. Or Nirvana Shatkam, 6 verses. As 10 verses as Dasha Shloki or Dakshinamurti Stotram. Then 100 verses Shata Shloki. Then 500, 600 verses like Viveka Chudamani. Then 1000 verses like Upadesha Sahasri. Or very simple Stotra Granthas where you just do Parayana. You have to gain Chitta Shuddhi and you will attain Jnana. Now based upon the Adhikari is how the Grantha is written. The Grantha emanates from the Guru. This Viveka Chudamani, which has few hundred verses, deals in detail with all aspects of Vedanta. It is called as a Prakarana Grantha. All these Granthas are called as Prakarana Granthas. A Prakarana Grantha might deal with a specific portion of Vedanta, or mostly in Adi Shankara's case, it deals with the entire gamut of Vedanta. All aspects related to Advaita Vedanta is dealt with there. A lot of you are well read. You have listened to Vedanta multiple times. You might have even listened to Viveka Chudamani itself multiple times from multiple teachers. And that is how Vedanta should be heard. Bahubhihi shrotavyam, bahudha shrotavyam. You have to listen to it many times from many people to get clarity from multiple different angles. Because this path is one of knowledge, so clarity is of utmost importance. Manana is for that. What we are doing now is Shravana combined with Manana. Shravana itself becomes Manana. As you keep listening, all the previous knowledge that you have taken up comes inside. And you yourself should be, within yourself should be doing that Manana. Because in most of you, this is not the first time you are listening to such tattvas or the sentences that I am speaking. It is multiple times, it has gone in again and again. So, this verse explains about Sookshma Sharira. What is Sookshma Sharira? There are 3 Shariras according to Vedanta. One is Sthula Sharira, the second is Sookshma Sharira, and third is Karana Sharira. Now we will deal only with Sookshma Sharira. We will keep the other 2 aside. Sthula Sharira is quite easy. It is this Sharira what we can see with our own eyes. That made up of Anna, made up of food, is Sthula Sharira, which is what the medical science deals with. It is seen. It is very gross and it is seen. Whatever you want to do, you can do with it physically. quite clear. Karana Sharira is the other end of the spectrum, where it is very difficult to infer that also. It is the causal body, we call it. Anyway, we will not be touching upon that now. We will be dealing with Sookshma Sharira in this verse. Why has Sannidhanam taken this verse? Because there are a lot of, does Sookshma Sharira exist? What is Sookshma Sharira? Why is Sookshma Sharira? All these questions emanate. To give answers to these questions, there is this verse followed by few other verses, but this verse is sufficient to give an idea of what Sookshma Sharira is. Bhagavan Bhashyakara calls out, Shrunu. So he is catching the attention. Probably he's been saying a few things, and slowly the student has drifted away, as we all do during Vedanta. The best sleeping pill. Even Dhritarashtra used to take this sleeping pill only. He never used to get sleep. Why he used? So he used to call Vidura, and he says, "Please tell me something." Vidura will tell him a few things. First, Vidura will come and say, "Why are you not getting sleep? We are all getting sleep. Only you are not getting sleep. Why?" Whoever is like you will not get sleep. If you take away the wealth of someone, you won't get sleep. If you deal with others' wives like this, you will not get sleep. If you cheat someone else, you will not get sleep. Which of these have you done? This is how Vidura will come and ask him. Dhritarashtra will not answer. He knows he has done everything. But he says, still you give me, somehow I want to go to sleep. Then Vidura will tell a few niti and everything. Still he does not get sleep. Then Dhritarashtra asks, please tell me some Vedanta, at least then I can sleep. Vidura says, even though I know Vedanta, I will not give you Upadesha, that and all I cannot do. So I will call Sanat Sujata. So he calls. Dhritarashtra mainly arranges lectures like this every now and then. He will attend lectures. He will listen. He listens to Sanat Sujata, and then somehow he gets sleep. So from the times of Mahabharata, Vedanta is a well-known sleeping pill. That is why even Adi Shankara has to call out to his student. Probably only one student is sitting in front of him. Even that one student is drifting off to sleep. Shrunu, he says. At least if many people are sitting, one or two drift off, then you can catch hold of the other people. Here, Adi Shankara is using it in Ekavachana. Shrunu. Or he is catching the attention of each of us who are sadhakas here. Each of us is alone on this marga. So each of us has to be caught separately. That's why even in Bhagavad Gita, you see every now and then Krishna will say, O Bharata, O Partha, O Kaunteya. Every now and then he will call out. Whenever you are teaching as a good teacher, you have to call out to the student, you look at him in the eye and then tell something. As they will be in their own world, they would have gone somewhere. Teacher will keep telling something. Guru has his own way of saying something. Student and Guru, that Sabadha itself would have gone. He will be in his own loka. Guru will be in his own loka. That Sookshma Sharira has gone elsewhere. We will see how the Sookshma Sharira can go everywhere. So, Shrunu, idam shariram shrunu. This body, listen to me. It is called as Sookshma Sharira, Sookshma Samnitam. Samnita means it has been given a name. That is the name given to this Sharira. It is called as Sookshma. It is also called as Linga. Lingam. What does Sookshma mean? Sookshma means something that is invisible. That cannot be seen by the eyes is Sookshma. So scientifically, atoms are Sookshma. For example, air itself is Sookshma. You cannot see air or wind. You can only feel it. You only infer that it is there. So that is Sookshma. Whatever we cannot directly perceive is called as Sookshma. So this Sharira is called as Sookshma Sharira, meaning an invisible body. It is not a visible body. That clearly demarcates it from this body that we can clearly see in front of us. 2 eyes, nose, ears, face, hands, all this external thing that we see, it is not that Sharira. It is a different body. Sookshma Samyitam. And it is called as Lingam. The same Sookshma Sharira has another name called as Linga Sharira. In Sanskrita, the word Linga means an indicator. Something that indicates something is called as Linga. It is used in all various Shastras with a slight difference of connotation, but it broadly means something that indicates something else. The very traditional and famous example in Samskrita is smoke and fire. So you see smoke and you infer fire. There the smoke is called as Linga. And fire is what has to be identified. How do you infer fire? Seeing the smoke, I infer fire. Therefore, the smoke is called as Linga. The word Linga itself means to know. Lingyate anena. You understand. Lingyate jnayate anena. Iti Lingam. Why is Sookshma Sharira called as Linga Sharira then? What do we infer using Sookshma Sharira? What is it an indicator of? The Linga Sharira is an indicator of consciousness. That conscious principle that is present within all of us, this Linga Sharira indicates that. Indicates that that is present. It is there. Just like this Sthula Sharira, which is made up of gross elements, which is inert. Similarly, Sookshma Sharira is also inert. It is made up of only Jadavastu. It is not made up of consciousness. It indicates consciousness. You have to understand the difference. So, Sookshma Sharira is not consciousness itself. Sookshma Sharira indicates that consciousness. Sookshma Samyitam Lingam. But this Sthula Sharira cannot manifest that consciousness. The external, this body that we have cannot reflect the consciousness. Whereas Sookshma Sharira is capable of reflecting that consciousness. So you all would have heard this name, reflected consciousness, reflected consciousness. That consciousness is reflected in the Sookshma Sharira only, not in the Sthula Sharira. Which is very clear. The Sthula Sharira, once a person dies, the Sthula Sharira is there. We call it body. When are they going to take the body away? When are they going to cremate it? That's how we talk about it. If this body was capable of reflecting that consciousness, then it should have reflected. Even then, all the parts are present. It is very much there. There is something else that has left this body and gone, which was reflecting that consciousness. Though consciousness is all pervasive, you need a particular point where it is reflected to see that. I am sitting here and this bench is there. I cannot see my face on this bench. It does not reflect my face. The same thing, very similar thing, the floor, because it is well polished, can reflect my face. Before polishing, that same floor would not have reflected our face. So both Sookshma Sharira and Sthula Sharira are made up of only Jada, of inert matter only. They are made up of matter. Both Sthula Sharira or Sookshma Sharira are made of matter. Just like that floor is made up of just Prithvi Amsha. But when it is polished, it becomes subtle. It becomes finer. It becomes capable of reflecting. Similarly, the Sookshma Sharira becomes capable of reflecting that Chaitanya. That is why it is called as Linga. Because you can infer that consciousness exists here through that Sookshma Sharira. Consciousness exists everywhere. You infer it through this. If smoke never came out, fire might still be present. But you can infer that fire only if smoke is there. Or else you do not know whether smoke is there or not. That is why in Shivalaya also, the Vigraha that we have is called as Linga. Because that is an indicator of that ever-present consciousness Shiva. We as Upasakas, as Bhaktas, cannot find that Shivatva everywhere. So you need a particular form given to it and you say, worship that as Shiva. That is a Linga for that infinite consciousness. Which is why it is called as Linga. You infer that infinite consciousness that is present through that tool in front of you. Through that Vigraha, that deity in front of you. So just like a glass or a mirror could reflect, the Sookshma Sharira also reflects this consciousness. So by seeing that consciousness there, you can make out what the original consciousness is. So through that, you will be able to catch hold of that original consciousness, which is the use of that Sookshma Sharira. Idam shariram shrunu sukshma samyitam lingam tvapanchikrita sambhavam. To apanchikrita bhuta sambhavam. Apanchikrita bhuta sambhavam. I am missing here suddenly. To apanchikrita bhuta sambhavam. Bhuta, as you all know, are the 5 Panchabhutas, Panchamahabhutas that are there. This Panchikarana, you all know what is Panchikarana of Mahabhutas? How many of you know? How many of you don't know? You all know. How many don't know what is Panchikarana? Some of them are there. Oh, there are Panchamahabhutas. Prithvi, Ap, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha. That all of us know. This Panchikarana is a term used in Vedanta where you just mix up all those Panchabhutas and give one whole thing. There is a particular way of mixing it up. You cannot just put it in whatever proportion. So the Panchamahabhutas in their pure form are called Apanchikrita. They are subtle. You cannot see even those Panchamahabhutas in their pure form. The Prithvi that we see here, the water that we see here, the fire, all these are Panchikrita Bhutas. Whatever you can perceive through your senses is Panchikrita. Before that, when they are Sookshma Bhutas, you will not be able to perceive them. Those Sookshma Bhutas, Panchikarana is like this. You take Akasha, there is 100% Akasha. Similarly, 100% of each one. Now you split Akasha into 2, 50% and 50%. You take 50% of Akasha, the remaining 4 Bhutas, you take 12.5% from each. 12.5% of Vayu, 12.5% of Jala, 12.5% of Agni and 12.5% of Prithvi. Total 100 now. This 100 is called as Akasha, Sthula Akasha. 50% of Akasha plus 1/8 of everything else of the other 4. Makes up the other half. So now you put all the 5 into the same thing and you talk about it as Akasha. Similarly with Vayu. Vayu, 50% Vayu, the other 4 Bhutas. 50% Jala and other 4 Bhutas. This is called as Panchikarana. Mixing up of the Bhutas. The 5 elements, they mix together and that is how we get the raw material for this creation. Whatever Jagat that we see and perceive, The raw material is panchikrita bhutas. The apanchikrita bhutas always remain subtle and they are beyond perception. You cannot see them. The Sookshma Sharira is made of apanchikrita bhutas. That is why you are not able to see it. The Sthula Sharira is made of panchikrita. The Sookshma Sharira is made of apanchikrita. Hence, you are not able to see it. It is beyond the ken of your eye or touch or anything for that matter. So, that is also born out of the 5 elements, but it is born out of the apanchikrita 5 elements. But it remains same that both are born out of matter. Sukshma Sharira is also matter, Sthula Sharira is also matter. And therefore, it is inert. But the Sukshma Sharira, we think it is consciousness. First, as we get a very simple idea of what Sukshma Sharira is. Our mind, our prana, the vital energy, and our intellect, all these put together is called the Sukshma Sharira. So, whatever emotions we get, whatever memories that we have, all this is Sukshma Sharira. Thoughts that come inside, all these are Sukshma Sharira only. You cannot see any of these, but you very much experience all of these. So, all this makes up the Sukshma Sharira. And Sukshma Sharira also constantly changes. It is not always the same. It keeps changing. The mental fortitude or composure or composition that you had when you were a child is very different from what you have now. The desires, wants that you had 10 years back, a decade, 2 decades ago, is not the same as what you have now. It keeps continuously changing. That is, the Sukshma Sharira also continuously keeps changing. Based upon whatever you take from outside, whatever you eat from outside, it also keeps changing. The Sukshma Sharira also keeps changing. But there is this misconception that the mind itself is consciousness. This is what science grapples with today. Not able to differentiate between mind and consciousness. According to Vedanta, mind is inert. That is also jada. Whereas consciousness is sat. That is jnata. Jnanam it is. That consciousness reflected in the mind becomes jnata or bhokta. Because this mind, now Adi Shankara uses a word, anadi. The Sukshma Sharira is anadi. The Sukshma Sharira is the one that travels from one body to another. So when we say a person has passed away, and then the same person has taken birth elsewhere, a similar human form or some other form, whichever the form might be. The Sukshma Sharira is the one that travels, and it takes along with it all these vasanas. Savasanam. Along with vasanas, it travels. This vasana, as I said, are those impressions. Each one of us creates impression with every activity that we do. Listening to such Vedanta is Vedanta Vasana. Going and watching a movie is movie Vasana. Listening to a concert is concert Vasana. Eating food is Bhojana Vasana. So all these, it creates impressions within our mind. During this Janma, we call it as memory to a certain extent. So these vasanas are extremely powerful. Oh, that's why Sukshma Sharira is actually more powerful than the Sthula Sharira itself. Let us say you went through a very difficult period 15-20 years back. Somebody close by passed away, or you had a lot of mental difficulty. If you are reminded of that today, even now it can bring tears to your eyes. Even now, the same kind of feelings can happen. It can send a chill through your spine. If it was something fearful, or it was something so deeply touching. It can even cause a physical change even today if you are reminded of that. It might have happened 2 decades, 3 decades, 5 decades back. But the same feeling can come today when you are reminded about that. That situation is not there, the people are not there, nothing is there. But it still brings it up from within. That is the power of that Sookshma Sharira within. That is the power of that Chitta, that memory that is there within us. That is the power. That is what is called as vasana. It has created an impression there that is so strong that it can be bought up. Savasanam. It is not only with negative things, even with positive things. The same thing happens. You had great success somewhere. And the same thing is told to you now, brings us immense sense of satisfaction, a feeling of pride. So all that is bought because that vasana. That vasana is always dormant. Once it has been created, it is there. Sometimes that memory might not be very evident. Like you might not remember what exactly was spoken, but you still remember something about that. Remember some friend in your school or childhood or something. They did something bad to you. You don't know what they spoke. You don't know what happened. But maybe if you look at them, either a negative or a positive emotion, depending on what the previous was, that arises. That is called as vasana. We see that very clearly, very evidently within this janma. Within this, when we have this Sharira, we see that clearly. But the same thing can be inferred through past lives. The same vasana continues. That's why he calls Sookshma Sharira as anadi. Something that continues from one Sharira to another Sharira. This is where the variety in the world comes in. Let's say 2 twins are born. One of the twin is extremely intelligent. The other is a dull head. How can you explain the difference in this? Because of that vasana. Karma, vasana comes due to karma. Your karma creates that impression. Karma is like a hammer. You take a hammer. You hit it upon something, it creates an impression there. And that impression follows. The hammer is not there, nothing is there. That is not there. The impression always persists. So within the same set of twins, one might be a great athlete. The other might be extremely inclined towards music. As soon as you put that person in music class, they catch hold of Shruti, they catch hold of the Laya, and they sing so beautifully. They're just 3 years old, 4 years old. Nobody taught them music. It is not like they done years and years of practice and sadhana. Even after so many years, some of them are not able to catch hold of Shruti. Oh, what is Shruti? Oh, when a next house girl is named Shruti, that's all they know. They don't know what is Shruti at all in music. That is the level it comes to. But this person with that previous vasana, they are able to catch hold of that Shruti and Laya so immediately. And able to sing so beautifully. We see so many such prodigies nowadays. That is that Purva Janma vasana that continues. The same thing with some other athlete. 2 people, they might be coached in the same way, but still one person runs beautifully well. They play so beautifully. That sports vasana is there previously. It is not only... So we see chess prodigies. So many other mathematics prodigy. In every field we see. Any field. Yes, yes. That is? Yoga? Yoga Bhrashta. Yoga Bhrashta can only be used for spiritual field. The same thing. The vasana of that yogic practice. Yogic means any yogic practice, not only Ashtanga Yoga. Whatever sadhana they did in the previous janma, it continues, leaves off from there and continues. Yoga Bhrashtaha Abhijayate. Whatever be the amount of sadhana that they have done in previous life. It might be bhakti sadhana. They might have been doing Shiva puja, Vishnu puja continuously. And immediately in this janma, you see that vasana. I know a lot of such people. There are a couple of siblings in Bangalore. One is extremely devoted to Narayana, the other extremely devoted to Shiva. And their father was a film director. It is not like they never got any samskara from their parent, but nevertheless, that they are so extremely devoted now that their extreme sadhakas is, you wouldn't think that their parents would be film or music directors. So that is the beauty. Where does this vasana come from? That is because of Purva Janma. That vasana has been there all through and through. That is that Sookshma Sharira that comes through. So this is the Sookshma Sharira that we are talking of here. Idam Shariram Shunu Sookshma Samhitam Savasanam Karma Phala Anubhavakam. It makes you the Bhokta. That Sookshma Sharira is the Bhokta. Whatever we do, Karma Phala Bhoga, whatever fruit we get, whether it is good or bad, we feel happiness and sadness within that Sookshma Sharira only. This body does not feel happy or sad. Whether it is good result or bad result, satisfactory or mixture of results, whatever it is this Sookshma Sharira which is the Bhokta, which eats all those results. Karma Phala Anubhavakam Sva Ajnanataha Anadihi Upadhihi Atmanaha. So it is Anadi, we have already seen. Anadi till where? Till moksha it is Anadi. Why? Because it is Ajnana. Ajnana itself is Anadi. Ajnana is Anadi till you find Jnana. Very similar to Kantachamikara. You do not know about the necklace, you do not know about the specs till you find the specs. When did that Ajnana start? You know, what is the cause of me not knowing about the specs? Nobody knows why you don't know about the specs. Nobody knows why you lost that Kantachamikara. That is the nature. You just forgot about it. That is Ajnana. Ajnana and Maya are interchangeable terms. This Maya, the Shakti of Bhagavan itself, is that causation. All this karma, vasana, everything is a part within this Ajnana only. Once you attain the Jnana, Ajnanataha Anadihi, because of Ajnana it is Anadi, and it is an Upadhi to Atma. Upadhi is probably a well-known word. It is an adjunct. With Upadhi, now we think this is Sookshma Sharira. Using this, I am doing Phalabhoga, all this. I am the one feeling sad. I am the one feeling happy. I am the one undergoing all these things in this world, all this course of life. All this is because of the Sookshma Sharira only. We think it is like this. So this Sookshma Sharira is again, there are 4 parts within this Antakarana that you might know in different places. Manaha, Buddhihi, Ahankara, Chitta, all this is there. So all these emotions and everything are registered right there only in that Sookshma Sharira only. It is Anadi and Atmanaha Upadhi. This Sookshma Sharira is what experiences Swapna. The dream is experienced by Sookshma Sharira. The Sthula Sharira experiences whatever is there in this external world. You see, in Jagrat, mainly we focus on Sthula Sharira. Though Sookshma Sharira is doing all the Anubhava, when you are asleep, you have no conscious, you do not know, you do not perceive this Sthula Sharira. But Sookshma Sharira is very much in vogue. Only Sookshma Sharira is there rather. Your mind whips up a whole of a creation. That Sharira there is also only Sookshma. You see yourself, you see many other people, you see a whole different world. You do a lot of transaction there. You undergo happiness, sadness, everything in that place. All that is a part of Sookshma Sharira only. And all that is because of these vasanas that have been previously created due to karma. Yes, dreams usually, you yourself by your own experience, it could be, you will see. 90% of the dreams are something we have done in this world. It's either our own desires or something that has deeply affected us when we have interacted with someone else. That is what it is. Your unfulfilled desires could be a part of it, where it gets fulfilled in the dream, either in a good way or a bad way. It could be a nightmare also. It gets somewhat fulfilled there. Or it is something you interacted with someone, did something that left a deep impression, and the same thing repeats in the same way or some other way. That's what it is. 90%. Some 10% might, there are a lot of other factors, which is we will not get into now. Dreams is a separate subject. That is the idea is Sookshma Sharira is the bhokta of dreams, it is the creator of dreams. That is the only thing that exists in dreams, nothing else. Your Sthula Sharira does not exist in dreams, is what we have to understand there. And this is all a reflection of consciousness that is there. So we will stop with that verse there, and we will take questions, and then we will proceed on to the next verse. Any questions related to this can be taken, yes.
Do we have control over my thoughts? Secondly, people say, you remove the clutters from your mind, and you will able to think properly. And then one more thing is that on paradigm shift, if there is something happens, you affect it very seriously. Then your thought process or your behavior changes. So how do we explain?
First question was whether we have control over our thoughts. Yes, we have control over our thoughts. According to our karma, this control over thoughts or control over the body is very similar thing. Whether we have control over the body. There are two perspectives to this. In a very simple manner, it is like this. Your previous karma creates situations for you. What is the kind of body you are born with? What is the people you are born with? What are the capabilities you are born with? What are the skills that you have? All this is due to previous karma and vasana. Those vasanas continue to give this. What you do currently with them is with you. That is when the dhriti comes into play. When Bhagavan says, Dhriti sa partha satviki, you have to have that mind under control. When the Shastras give an injunction that bring your senses under control, bring your mind under control, focus on devotion, meditate upon this, listen to Vedanta, it assumes that you have the power to do that. The same thing when you are completely surrendered, when you have realized that Atmajnana, you know that this whole thing within Maya, there is nothing called freedom. Within Maya, there is no freedom. Freedom is only beyond Maya. When you say, it has to be understood like this. We are kind of familiar with space and time. Kind of familiar. We know what is space, what is time. The concept of time itself is difficult to understand. We know time passes only because something is changing. According to science itself, it is like that. If nothing was ever changing, there is no passage of time. How do you know whether time is going or not? Because things are changing, continuously changing somewhere or the other, we know the passage of time. So if somebody asks you what was before time or what is after time, how would you answer? You cannot answer, because the words before and after are time words. The question itself is not proper. You cannot frame such a question. The word before and after denote time. You are asking before time, after time. It's an oxymoron question. If you ask what is beyond space, you cannot answer. The word beyond denotes space. So you cannot answer what is beyond space. Similarly, you cannot ask why Maya. Because Maya itself is causation. It is the causation principle. So this causation of karma that is there is within the boundaries of Maya. And you are asking for mukti from Maya itself. So when we say ajnana, karma, Maya, everything, you are asking for mukti from this. So that freedom exists beyond the ken of this Maya, beyond this causation of Maya. So yes, you have control over your thoughts. As a sadhaka, yes, you do have control over your thoughts. The same time, as a mukta purusha, you have now no control over anything that this body does. That is for the first question. What is the second question? Yeah, that removing the clutter is the same part of it. So you focus, you meditate upon something, you do bhakti, you have to remove clutter. That's all. Basically, it is removing those unnecessary vasanas. Only sad vasana that, as he said, yoga bhrashta, you should have vasanas only on the spiritual path, which help you take it forward in the spiritual sadhana. The other vasanas should be done away with. Will it decide the parent? Yes. It decides, mostly all the previous karma decides everybody that you come in contact with. I am sitting here and talking to you. This itself is mostly that you should be in this place for this Vedanta retreat is karma. Why only you people? You will see somebody else decided to come to Vedanta retreat, then something else happened, they couldn't come. Somebody else by mistake, they never thought of coming, they landed up here. All that is because of karma. Swajnanataha anadihi. Okay. If is ajnana an inherent characteristic of what? Ajnana is not an inherent characteristic of Atma, because Atma can never be ajnani. But ajnana is an inherent characteristic of this Maya. This another term for Maya is ajnana. As I said just now while explaining that question, it is just like Kanta Chamikara. When did that ajnana start? In this case, it started when you started searching. But for the sake of our mukti, it is beginningless. You do not know when it started. When Maya comes into existence, ajnana and Maya are exactly same. When this creation comes into existence, into projection, ajnana is there. That is why we are all there within this. Once you are beyond that Maya, there is no more ajnana. So that ajnana has a beginning, has no beginning, but it has an end. Because it is like that. That is the swarupa of ajnana. Yes, Jivan is the reflected consciousness. That Sukha Sharira, along with the reflected consciousness, is called as Jivatva. That Jiva is the one that goes from body to body. The definition of Jiva itself is reflected consciousness. And the examples are, you have multiple pots of water and there is a single sun. The sun is reflected in each pot of water. And in each pot you can see a different sun. So each one is a different Jiva. That is how you make up for multiplicity of Jivas. But Atma Swarupa is single only. There is only one sun. There are not 100 suns for 100 different pots. A singular sun for various different pots. அப்படி இல்லை அந்த கேஸ் it is not like that in that case, because there are some let us say there is this example in Tarka Shastra. There is something called pragabhava. Okay. Abhava means non-existence. Non-existence is abhava. Pragabhava is something, this non-existence, they like to differentiate into multiple things. Let us say you have a pot. Before the pot came into existence, the non-existence of the pot is called as pragabhava. Okay. That pragabhava is anadi. It never started, because until the pot comes into existence, that pragabhava has always been there. When the pot comes into existence, that non-existence gets destroyed. And it can never come back again. The pragabhava can never come back again. Because once the pot is destroyed, what you get is pradvamsa bhava. The destroyed non-existence of pot. You will never get the previous non-existence of the pot ever. That you will not get. Ajnana is not a bhava padartha like that to say. Only for a bhava padartha, something that exists, you can say it has a beginning, it has an end. This is not a bhava padartha, it is ignorance. You're talking about ignorance. Ignorance can have a beginning. Till today you were ignorant about, let us say, Sookshma Sharira. Today you got knowledge of Sookshma Sharira. So today that ignorance went away. When did that ignorance begin? It was anadi. For a very simple thing like this, let us say you, as a school student, you went and learnt mathematics from someone. You learned 2 plus 2 equal to 4. Till that particular day, you didn't know 2 plus 2 was 4. You didn't know what 2 and 2 was. You were ignorant till that day about that particular concept. The ignorance of 2 plus 2 was anadi. But it had an anta on the day you understood about 2 plus 2. Similarly is the case with ajnana, where ajnana is anadi, but it has an anta. Because that is the nature of ignorance itself, that is the nature.
You said freedom is beyond Maya, right?
Yes.
So that is freedom beyond Maya. That is limitation. In this Vyavaharika, limitations are there. So we are limited by the thing that we are doing because limitations exist. Because limitation itself is because then it is not contradictory to say that for that state everything is predetermined. But for here Vyavaharika it is not predetermined. We can control our thoughts, control our minds and control everything required.
No, I didn't say that state is predetermined. That state is complete freedom. Here I gave 2 perspectives. Within Vyavaharika, I gave 2 perspectives. That as a sadhaka, you have to understand that you can do a few things. You have to do your sadhana. You have to bring your mind under control. You have to do bhakti. You have to do upasana. When you are absolutely free, you will know that this state does not entail that much of freedom that you thought. Not that state, not that your mukti state is not free. Once you are mukta purusha, you will understand that this Vyavaharika state is much more constrained due to the karma than what you think it is. That is what I said. I hope it is little, if it is little confusing, we will take it separately. We will. No, it does not have any control over Mukta Purusha. Huh? Dream is a projection, yes. Dream is not a dream. Yes. How will you put it? When you wake up, it is still a projection. That is what it says. Just like dream is a projection once you wake up. Once you attain jnana, this is also a projection. It is like that only. That is how example is given in Gaudapada Karika also. This world is a projection. Just like your dream is a projection, you clearly know when you wake up. That much you know. And there is a lot of analysis of the dream state also. Where as far as you are in the dream, you think everything is absolutely real. Whatever your vyavahara transaction you do, whether you gain wealth, you lose wealth, you lose in war, or you gain something, you are healthy, you are sick, you are attacked by something, you feel fear, you feel happiness, all these emotions, jealousy, this thing, everything comes, altruism, all these comes in dream also. But when you wake up, you get to know nothing, not even an iota is attached to this Sharira. You neither became rich nor you became poor. You didn't become healthy, you didn't become sick. You are not attacked by anything, you are not going to die. Nothing of this sort. Similarly, when you attain jnana, you will understand that this Sharira is also like a drama that is playing on the screen. You are like watching a movie. A Mukta Purusha will watch this Sharira go through the prarabdha in this world. Just like watching that, he will watch this also. If you understood that it was a dream, you would have probably watched it with a lot of happiness. Like you watch a movie. In a movie, even though it's a sad movie or it might be an action movie or adventure movie, you watch it with a certain amount of enthusiasm. You may be crying because the hero is undergoing this thing. But you still feel you are watching the movie because you want to watch the movie. That is this thing inside. Similarly, if you are a Mukta Purusha, this Prarabdha Sharira, it might still cry, it might feel sad, but still you will be a witness to it and you will see, oh, how beautiful. The drama itself, you will say, oh, what a beautiful act that is going on in front of me. That's why when Rama cries for Sita, how can a Mukta Purusha like Rama cry for Sita, you can ask. But Rama as the Atma Swarupa, he is a witness to that beauty of crying. That rasa, that Karuna rasa that is there, how much he is wailing for his wife who is lost, that Mukta Purusha will be able to witness. He will not be affected by that. There is no need to be affected. We also should know the same thing, that we are playing the role of Manushya in this. Sayeva Swayam Ramachandra Sadhanyaha. That is the end of Rama Bhujanga. Sayeva Swayam Ramachandra Sadhanyaha. No dual role, only singular role. There's only Atma Swarupa role.
If you look at the Milky Way galaxy, the sun takes about 275 million years to take one revolution.
Around the galaxy, yes.
The problem with us is that we think that our 100 years or 60 years of life is too long. But when compared to that, it's just a fleeting glance.
Yes.
It's like a subatomic particle. From that perspective, it is just a dream.
Correct.
When we pass through this, we always have to think in that scale and see that we are.
That is one way of thinking, where you see on the macro scale and you see whether it is space or time. It is just almost beyond our imagination. Where you say the earth is 5 billion years old, even according to science. What is 5 billion? We can't even think of 5 billion. You are thinking 1000 years ago the Chola temple was there, 2000 years ago some other civilization was there. That itself is mind-boggling. 5 billion is another 7 zeros, 6 zeros you are adding to that 1000. There is no way you can think about that. So, as far as you are in this Vyavaharika world, we think, okay, one day it's a long time, 1 week is even more long. Okay, next, I am planning for next Vedanta Retreat, something, all that we think. So, that is one way of thinking about that. So, that is another prakriya, you can say. You can just have. If you want to believe Big Bang is also projection. See, why? We should not confuse these things and put it together and make it a muddle into our head at all. It is all a projection. See, creation gives a wrong idea. That is why we use the word projection. Creation means, okay, you have something, you are putting it together, you are making something. Whereas in Advaita, we don't accept that change. Everything is Atma Swarupa. There is nothing other than Atma Swarupa. And Atma Swarupa is unchangeable. We will see it in the next verse in the afternoon. It delineates the Atma Swarupa only. Yes, Swayam Jyotihi, all that it says. Where it is Nirlepaha, Niranjanaha. So, Atma Swarupa cannot have parts where you put one on top of the other like a brick and then you do some creation. All this is not possible. But, like we see a snake upon the rope, we see this world upon that Brahman. Where Brahman has no change at all. That is why we call it a projection, which is a slightly better term to use. It is still a term. It is that understanding that has to arise inside. We call it as vivarta. Better word than creation, that's all I would say. Gives you a better sense of what is happening rather than creation. When you say creation, you think like a potter creating a pot. You take some mud, you put it together, you make something. Like that God is sitting, he puts something together and he creates something out of Brahman. No, that does not happen. You cannot create something out of Brahman and all. So to get that sense that this whole creation is a projection upon Brahman, we say use the word projection. It gives a better sense, nothing else. Vivekananda used it in a place, he says, let us not use the word creation, let us use projection. Srishti itself, let us translate it to projection instead of creation. Because that word creation, again, because we have this idea of Christian way of creation and the other idea, or the scientific way of creation. When we say creation, we immediately think of that mode of creation. And then we confuse both and then becomes a whole muddle. Srishti does not. That's what the translation, you should not translate it to creation, that's all. And Srishti itself can have various, depending on the darshana that you are, it could have a slightly different connotation. In Advaita Vedanta, it is good to translate it to projection. We will stop here and we will continue again in the afternoon. We have 3 more verses. We saw only 1 verse now. We will try to complete 3 verses in the afternoon. Yato mamatma bhavasit tumeva tato navachyam mama kinchidasti yatha taveshtam kurumam tathaiva tvamatmanatham ramanam bhajami Sadguru Swaminaha Jai.